Hi, my name is Natalie Jashyn. I work here at a la carte, and I'm going to be showing you how to put together and make a gingerbread house. First thing that I do is I make a large quantity of dough. We're going to make a nice large house. And what I like to do is first melt down 4 sticks of margarine. The reason why I'm using the margarine is because the house is going to be sitting out and it's going to sit out in the air, so you don't really need to use butter for flavor. So the margarine works really well for this. And I melted some margarine. Now I'm going to add in the sugar and the corn syrup. And I'm going to add some milk to this also. Okay, and I just want to stir this around, and basically we just want this to melt and just so that all the sugar is dissolved and it's kind of warm, but you don't want it boiling. Okay, so we can just let this dissolve a little bit, and while this is heating up, I'm going to go ahead and start sifting my dry ingredients. Okay, and what I have here is about some ginger, some cloves and cinnamon, and some baking soda. And what I want to do is just add them all together. It's a really easy dough to put together. And then just want to mix this a little bit together. And then I'm going to start sifting it. And the sifting is just to incorporate all the ingredients together, help aerate the flour a little bit, and also take out any kind of lumps that are in the flour, and also any kind of sediment that's in the spices, any of the whole spices that didn't get ground up. You can see what's left of some of the spices that weren't ground up. And now I'm going to add into my dry ingredients my wet ingredients, and that's right here all ready to go. Just give it a quick stir, make sure everything's dissolved. And now just pour this right in. Okay. And then here, you just want to start stirring it and get it all incorporated. And this is basically it for the dough. Okay, and now my dough is all together, and it's a real wet dough. And what we're going to do is we're going to take it out of the bowl and just do a couple more stirs here. And what I like to use is a nice large jelly roll pan and line it with some sheet paper. And the sheet paper, the parchment paper, helps it from sticking to the pan itself, so when you go, after you chill this for a while, you can take it out really easy. So I just pour this right in. And you just want to spread it out nice and even. And then we're going to let this sit in the fridge until it firms up. And then it'll be ready to roll out. Okay. we had our dough ready. It's all set. It sat in the fridge for about an hour or two, so it'll get firm up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it out into different shapes that are going to make up the sides, the roof, and the front of the gingerbread house. And what I did is I got a large piece of poster board. This time I picked a green color, but you could pick any color you like. It really doesn't matter. And what I did is I traced out my walls, my roof, and the front of my house. And each of these pieces I'm gonna roll out and cut out 2 of each side, so that I would have a front and a back, 2 walls, and then 2 sides to make a roof. Okay? So before I get to cutting them out, I need to take some of my dough out. And I just want to cut a piece of it out. And here, this is where the parchment paper is handy, because you can just lift it right out. It's real sticky. Okay, and then you want to have some bench flour ready for you so the dough doesn't stick to the counter. Okay. Put a little flour on the rolling pin. Okay. Now while we're rolling this out, we want to keep an even pressure on it. We don't want to put too much pressure on one end so that it'll get really flat on one side and really thick on the other. Try to keep it nice and even. Okay. Now that I rolled it a couple of times, I want to loosen it from the table. And this is where the bench scraper comes in really handy. Constantly move it so that it doesn't stick to the table. And if it does rip, if you get a hole, it's really easy to patch it up. This dough is real forgiving. Okay, now we have our dough, and I rolled it out. And I rolled it onto a piece of parchment paper to make it a little easier for cutting out the shape. So now I'm going to put the shape of one of the side of the houses down, and then you could either use a small knife or your bench scraper to cut out the shape. Okay, just keep following along. And this extra dough you want to hold on to. Just take all the scraps and put them together, because what you can do is roll it back out and use it again. Okay, so there's one of our sides. And now the edges are a little rough, so what you do is just go around and straighten them up, just clean them up a little bit. Okay. And now you just take the whole piece and slide it right onto the jelly roll pan. Okay? And if there's extra flour on the gingerbread, you can just take a little pastry brush and brush off that flour. Okay? Now here what I would do is put it into the refrigerator, let it sit for about 20 minutes so that it gets nice and cold again, and then we'll go ahead and bake it in the oven. The reason why you want to get it nice and cold is so that it doesn't spread so much when you bake it. Okay? So now, this one will go in the fridge, and here is one that's been rolled out and it's been sitting in the fridge for a while. Okay, now I'm going to make the windows for the house, and this is a neat little addition to the house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out just some You could either do a square or a rectangle or any type of shape you like for your gingerbread house. And I'm going to cut about 4 windows. Once you have your windows cut out, then what you can do is take just some hard candy, crush it up, and then fill in the empty windows. Because what's going to happen is the candy is going to melt and you'll have little stained glass windows. Okay, so I'm going to fill them all up. Get a nice even layer in there. And then from here, I'm going to put this in the oven and bake it at 350 for about 10 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on it. And then here we have the finished side of the house. You can see we have our nice glass windows and it's all baked through and it's nice and firm. And you want to let this sit and dry out overnight so then when you go to build the house, it's going to be nice and stable. Well, we let the pieces of the house dry overnight. They're nice and firm. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take the royal icing and we're going to glue the house together. And the royal icing, basically, you can buy it already pre-mixed in a bag and you just add water to it. I know Candy People over in Limburg has it. And it's great stuff. So what we can do is, it's already mixed up and I put it in the bag. And I have, this is the back of the house. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put some icing on the bottom of the wall. I'm going to put a good amount. Okay, I'm going to stick that right there. And then you can let it come down. And then you can do the side of the house. Okay. I'm going to be real careful not to chip any of the walls. And one thing with the icing, when you're putting the house together, you want to make it pretty thick so that it really holds together and it won't slide. And now what I'll do is I'll just push the one wall into the front wall, and there's the beginning of putting the house together. And this is what you're going to repeat with the rest of the pieces, just going around putting the walls up, the front, and then the roof. And then after that, you want to let it sit and dry for, pretty much you want to let it dry overnight so it's nice and solid, and then the next day you can put all your candy and decorate it as pretty as you like. And that's it for the gingerbread house.